please check out these titles: Epictetus, Discourses and Selected Writings from Penguin Classics, or Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. You can see there. Or Flavius Vegetius Renatus on Roman military matters. Now, for my part, what do I believe about God? I am agnostic on God. I don't know if he exists or not. But the Stoics definitely believed in God. So we have to tackle this subject in light of what modern Stoics would believe, like myself. I am a modern, so I have the benefit of the knowledge of evolution, of the theory of the Big Bang, and other scientific discoveries. But this is my notebook, and we'll go through what the Stoics of today may think in analysing the reason of the ancient Stoics. The Stoics of God, logic, man, evolution and reason. God and evolution gave man reason, for only reason can analyse itself. If A plus B is multiplied, then this creates a synthesis greater than its parts. So what is the synthesis's nature? It is the new equilibrium, and in accordance with nature, it has changed the game and all must adjust and adapt to its being. This is a law of nature and the essence of evolution and change. God, if he evolved, is and never has been the subject of the matrix of synthesis. He is the Lord of perfect reason, and thus his actions are moderate and deliberate, and in accordance with nature, and his laws, which create the matrix of synthesis, are always a natural and lawful synthesis of reason. The Stoic must reason with reason to adapt to God's natural law, and constantly adjust to the changing essence of life, which is the ever-changing synthesis of a matrix of syntheses. To do this leads back to the gifts of reason we have attained through the process of invention, i.e. God, and the trial and error, which with error being removed by the power of reason and natural selection. To attain a full and perfect knowledge of the matrix of synthesis, the one ever-changing pure synthesis is what we would call the Logos, is at once difficult, because this is what drives the Stoic, the race, the fight, the pursuit of reason, not the victory itself. But to be as God is a dangerous and religious idea. It is open to the fallibilities of human instinct to project onto others, to conceive our own failings, to conceal our own failings. Thus God, as a conceptual being, the Lord of reason, as a totem of reason, but as its own, it is possible, and reasonable and useful as a totem of reason, but it has its own dangers from preconceptions. To know the identity of God is even more dangerous, as this leads to conflict between those that know and those that don't, because those that do not know the true nature of God will project onto God that individual or group interest of self-interest. This is thus leads to hierarchy, dogma and tradition, all of which may be based on false preconceptions of the reason for said God's actions and intent. So clearly, at this stage, we are not now even talking about God as a Lord of reason, Lord being bread giver, which, as a true human and Stoic, we must have reason as much as we have bread and water. But God as a tribal chief. Now, which is irrational, as why would God seek to divide humans into tribes ruled by lesser and irrational chiefs. I say why because it is irrational to suppose that you can project onto God the reason why when only he can see the pure synthesis of a matrix of the syntheses, the logos. To take deduction, the process of not having all the facts but seeking the fact through knowing that you are reducing the margin of error equals science. That is the methodology of science. Further, we might say, by dealing with each preconception, that like thorns tear at reason, that we can overcome what is not a logical preconception with reason. For the Roman Stoics, Zeus, the name of God, was his role was to bring order to Olympus, to be in accordance with nature. To bring Olympus in accordance with nature. Stoic preconceptions of God analyze done against God's character or names in folklore continued. This was because the root of Stoicism from Rome and Greece sought to prove that truth can speak to power, that God's lawful rules and laws were in accordance with nature, and thus was authority, and not just naked power, i.e. Caesar. Authority for the moderns in this is thus linked with democracy. Why God is democratic or not is not a preconception we can prove. Now this leads to two interesting and frightening ideas: that God sets kings over us because he is at once fettered to a human body and thus is only all-powerful in reasoning and not all-power in force. This is where a limited idea or preconception of God takes root, or the denial or proposition that there is no God in an almighty creator of the universe kind of role. However, the agnostics clearly use reason to say, I cannot choose between A or B because I have not all the facts, i.e. that God exists or does not exist. The second frightening idea is that God allows the powerful to act greedily and evilly because they are his agents is for many too far, but maybe he tests their behaviour so that they will fall into an essential trap against a preconception. But reason analysis of reason, which is why reason analyses reason, which is why God perhaps does not want man, because man as among his ranks evil psychopaths, i.e. rulers to use irrational power to make the rational analysis and betray God. This is why God or evolution gave men the concepts of liberty and equality. It is the job of Stoics to balance in a synthesis, liberty and equality under God's rule of law. So, democracy for the moderns is to be preserved, deepened and widened, but in parallel and in harmonious synthesis, natural and economic rights are to be deepened and widened. The Stoic job is to say that power always is there to conceal a lie or to propagate lies. For what reason is force used by the strong over the weak, if not for the sake of imposing will, and i.e. a lie, in that you have to believe what I say because I have the power, the sword. And if you do not, the Stoics offer his or her neck and says, do your worst, as reason is the only master of my opinions, and I have liberty and can be equal to anyone but God. because I use reason.